Chief researcher Naira adjusted her sensory membranes as she studied the holographic data streaming across her laboratory chamber. After 300 cycles of studying sentient species across the galaxy, she had never encountered anything like the humans of Earth. Their genetic structure defied everything she thought she knew about biological evolution. The plague that had been ravaging advanced civilizations across the galaxy, dubbed the Mind Fire for how it burned through neural pathways, couldn't gain any foothold in human biology. Not a single human had succumbed to it, even in the most heavily contaminated zones where other species fell within days. "Most fascinating," she whispered, her translucent fingers dancing through the genetic models. "Their immune response isn't just resistant. It's adaptive at a rate that shouldn't be possible." The human test subjects they'd secretly collected showed no signs of infection, despite direct exposure to the Mind Fire's most aggressive strains. Behind her, the observation chamber hummed with activity as her team monitored their latest round of trials. 20 humans, all accidentally transported from various remote locations on Earth, floated in suspended animation. Their vital signs remained strong, their minds active even in unconsciousness. The ethics committee would have shut down her research immediately if they knew she was conducting unauthorized tests on a pre-contact species, but Naira had run out of options. Billions were dying across the galaxy, and conventional science had failed to find a cure. "Director," her assistant Krell's voice crackled through the comm. "Subject 17 is showing unusual brain activity patterns." Naira glided to the observation window. Her interest piqued. Subject 17, a human female they'd collected from a remote research station in Antarctica, had consistently demonstrated the strongest resistance to the Mind Fire. But today something was different. The humans' brainwave patterns weren't just resistant, they were actively attacking the virus. "Impossible," Naira muttered, but the data didn't lie. The human's immune system wasn't just fighting off the infection, it was adapting, evolving, becoming stronger with each exposure. And somehow, impossibly, the subject was conscious. The human's eyes snapped open, meeting Naira's gaze through the observation window. There was no fear in those eyes, only fierce determination. The subject's vital signs remained stable, even as she began methodically testing the restraints of the suspension chamber. "Director," Krell's voice shook slightly. "The other subjects. They're waking up too. All of them. And their neural patterns are synchronizing." Naira felt her first flicker of fear as she watched the humans systematically testing their constraints, communicating through subtle gestures, even though they should have been complete strangers to each other. Their collective brain activity was creating interference patterns in the lab's sensitive equipment. "Shut down the trials," she ordered. "Increase the sedation levels and—" The laboratory lights flickered. Through the observation window, Subject 17 smiled, not in fear or anger, but with something that looked almost like pity. The restraints in her chamber began to crack. "Director," Krell's voice was barely a whisper now, "we're detecting similar neural activity from every human within 100 kilometers of the facility. They know. Somehow, they all know." Naira rushed to the emergency protocols panel, but before she could activate the containment procedures, every screen in the laboratory lit up with the same message, transmitted in perfect galactic standard. "We need to talk about consent." The message wasn't from any government or official channel. It was broadcasting simultaneously from thousands of human devices, from their primitive satellites, from their communication networks. Humanity had not only detected their secret facility, they had bypassed every security system as if they were designed by children. As Subject 17's suspension chamber finally cracked open, Naira realized her crucial error. She had assumed humanity's strength lay in their unusual biology, their immunity to the plague. But watching the humans calmly organize themselves, watching them access and control her facility's systems with embarrassing ease, she understood the truth. Their real power lay in their ability to adapt, to cooperate, to turn adversity into advantage. The human female from Antarctica, Subject 17, stepped forward as spokesperson. "We understand you're facing a crisis," she said in flawless Galactic standard. "We've known about the plague for months. We've been working on a cure. We would have helped if you'd asked." She paused, her expression stern but not unkind. "We still will help, but first we need to establish some ground rules about bodily autonomy and medical ethics." Behind her, the other humans were already accessing the laboratory's research data, their minds working in concert in a way Naira's sensors insisted should be impossible. Humanity, she realized, had not just survived first contact. They had been quietly preparing for it, waiting to reveal themselves until they had no choice. "Now then," Subject 17 said, pulling up a chair, "let's discuss how we can work together, as equals, to solve this crisis. But this time, we do it the right way." Naira could only nod, acutely aware that everything she thought she knew about humanity would need to be reevaluated. They weren't just test subjects anymore. They were something far more interesting. They were partners. The emergency session of the Galactic Council erupted into chaos as the human delegation materialized in the center of the chamber. No one had invited them. No one had given them transport coordinates. Yet here they stood, a small group of 5 individuals who had somehow bypassed the most sophisticated security systems in known space. Ambassador Chen of Earth stepped forward, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the panicked whispers echoing through the chamber. Behind her stood Dr. Sarah Wells, formerly known as Subject 17, along with 3 other humans whose very presence sent ripples of unease through the assembled alien dignitaries. "Distinguished members of the Council," Chen began, her voice carrying effortlessly across the vast chamber. "We apologize for the unconventional entrance, but given recent events, we felt it necessary to demonstrate our capabilities directly." High Counselor Zextal, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, raised his attendant's mandible. "This is unprecedented. How dare you breach Council security protocols? The same way your research facilities breached our sovereignty." Dr. Wells interrupted, stepping forward. "We tracked 17 unauthorized research stations on or near Earth, 43 separate instances of unauthorized human testing, all while our people were reaching out through official channels, offering assistance with the Mindfire plague." The chamber fell silent. On the massive display screens surrounding them, data began streaming. Detailed records of every unauthorized experiment, every violation of galactic law regarding pre-contact species. The Council's own security systems were being used to present evidence against them. "But we haven't come to assign blame," Ambassador Chen continued, her tone softening. "We've come to help. Despite everything, humanity stands ready to assist with the plague crisis. We simply ask for 3 things: recognition of Earth's sovereignty, immediate cessation of all unauthorized testing, and a seat at this council." "Impossible," Zextal buzzed. "You're barely a spacefaring species. Your technology is different from yours." One of the other humans, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, interjected. He gestured, and a holographic model appeared in the center of the chamber. "While you focused on faster-than-light travel and energy manipulation, we developed in other directions: neural interface technology, collective problem-solving networks, adaptive biological engineering." The model showed human neural patterns, demonstrating how they could link and work in concert, a capability that had evolved from humanity's early internet to something far more sophisticated. What looked like primitive technology to the Council was actually a different path of advancement altogether. "The Mindfire plague attacks neural pathways," Dr. Wells explained. "Our research suggests it was engineered as a weapon, targeting the specific way most advanced species in the galaxy process information. But human brains work differently. We don't just resist the plague, we can help create a cure. We've already begun developing one." Ambassador Chen raised her hand, and a holographic display shifted to show preliminary trial results. "We understand the desperation that led to the unauthorized research. Billions are dying. But kidnapping and experimenting on humans wasn't just ethically wrong. It was inefficient. We could have accomplished so much more working together. The council chamber erupted in overlapping conversations. Some representatives argued furiously against giving humanity a seat at the table. Others, seeing the data, recognizing the potential, began to argue in favor. Through it all, the human delegation stood calmly, waiting. Finally, High Counselor Zextol raised all four of his primary limbs for silence. "You realize," he said slowly, "that by revealing yourselves this way, by demonstrating these capabilities, you've made many species very nervous. Some will see you as a threat." Ambassador Chen smiled. "With respect, Counselor, we revealed exactly as much as we chose to. Humanity learned long ago that sometimes the best defense is making sure others know just enough about your capabilities to avoid conflict. We don't want to fight. We want to help. But we will be respected." As if to emphasize her point, the screens around the chamber flickered, showing feeds from across Earth. Humans going about their daily lives, working, playing, creating, but also scenes from their research facilities, where teams of scientists were already working on the plague cure. Their neural networks were visible, thousands of minds working in concert, approaching the problem from angles the council's scientists had never considered. "The choice is yours," Chen concluded. "We can spend the next few cycles arguing about protocols and procedures while more people die, or we can begin working together immediately. As equals, Earth's quarantine is lifted effective immediately. Any plague victims who can reach us will receive treatment. We simply ask that from now on you ask before you take." The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, Zextol extended his primary manipulator in the galactic gesture of agreement. "Welcome to the Galactic Council," he said, "though I suspect you've been monitoring our sessions for some time already." Ambassador Chen's smile widened slightly, but she didn't confirm or deny the accusation. She didn't need to. The message was clear. Humanity had been watching, learning, and preparing. They weren't just ready for first contact. They had been quietly shaping its terms all along. The medical bay of Earth's first interstellar hospital ship, Hope's Horizon, buzzed with activity. Dr. Sarah Wells moved between stasis pods containing victims of the Mindfire plague, her neural interface allowing her to monitor hundreds of patients simultaneously while coordinating with medical teams across the ship. "Status update," she subvocalized, the ship's AI instantly translating her thoughts into data streams visible to both human and alien medical staff. The response came not in words, but in pure information, flooding through the neural network that connected every human aboard. 47 new cases in the past hour. 3 major population centers on Proxima VI reporting outbreaks. The plague was mutating faster than anyone had anticipated. Director Wells, a crystalline voice chimed. It was Krell, her former captor turned research partner. "The latest results from Lab 7 are troubling." Sarah accessed the data through her neural link. The Mindfire had adapted to their initial treatment protocols. It was learning, evolving, almost as if it was responding intelligently to their countermeasures. This wasn't just a plague. It was starting to look more and more like a weapon. "Call the hive mind," Sarah decided. Around her, other humans on the medical deck straightened, preparing themselves for connection. The hive mind wasn't what most alien species assumed it to be. Humans hadn't lost their individuality or merged into a collective consciousness. Instead, they'd learned to temporarily link their minds for problem-solving, creating neural networks that could process information and generate solutions far faster than any individual could alone. Sarah felt the familiar sensation of her consciousness expanding as thousands of human minds linked together. Scientists, doctors, engineers, artists, everyone brought their unique perspective to the network. The alien medical staff watched in fascination as their human counterparts stood motionless, their neural implants glowing softly as they worked in perfect synchronization. Through the network, Sarah could feel Dr. Rodriguez analyzing the plague's mutation patterns. She could sense Ambassador Chen coordinating with Earth's defense networks, tracking the spread of infection. Thousands of minds working as one, approaching the problem from countless angles simultaneously. It's not random, came the collective realization. The plague's mutations followed a pattern. It was adapting specifically to target each species' unique neural architecture. But human minds, with their ability to form temporary networks and then separate back into individuals, seemed to confuse it. "We need more data," Sarah announced, both to the network and aloud for the alien staff. "And we need volunteers." The response through the neural network was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of humans stepped forward, offering to undergo controlled exposure to the plague, not out of reckless bravery, but because the Highmind had shown them it was necessary. "You can't seriously be considering this," Krell protested. "The plague has evolved. Even human immunity might not." "We're not immune," Sarah interrupted. "We never were. We're just adaptable. And right now, we need to adapt faster than the plague." Through the neural network, volunteers were already being selected based on genetic diversity and neural plasticity. The Hivemind calculated risks, designed protocols, prepared containment measures. Thousands of minds working in perfect concert to solve problems that would have taken weeks to address through conventional means. "There's something else," Sarah added, her voice grave. "The mutation pattern. It's too precise. Too targeted. Someone isn't just spreading this plague. They're guiding its evolution. They're watching how we fight it and making it stronger." The implications rippled through the Hivemind. If the plague was being deliberately evolved, then somewhere out there was an intelligence capable of engineering a weapon that could target specific neural architectures. An intelligence that saw the galaxy's diversity of consciousness as something to be eliminated. Sarah felt the Hivemind's reaction. Not fear, but a fierce determination. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before, had lived under the shadow of their own weapons of mass destruction. They understood, better than most species, the responsibility that came with power. "Begin the trials," she ordered. Around her, humans moved with purpose, their actions coordinated through the neural network. "And send word to Earth. If someone is weaponizing consciousness itself, they need to understand they're not just attacking bodies. They're attacking the very thing that makes us who we are. And humanity has never responded well to existential threats." As the medical bay transformed into a research facility, Sarah felt a new emotion ripple through the Hivemind. Hope. Not blind optimism, but the calculated understanding that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to face impossible odds and find a way through. They would solve this puzzle because they had to, because the alternative was unthinkable, and because humanity had learned long ago that the most important battles were fought not for survival alone, but for the right of all beings to think, to feel, and to exist as they chose. The command center of Hope's horizon hummed with an energy that transcended species. Humans linked through their neural network worked alongside alien specialists, their different approaches to problem-solving creating something entirely new. Ambassador Chen stood at the central holographic display, her neural implants pulsing as she coordinated with both the human Hivemind and the Galactic Council. The pattern they'd discovered in the plague's evolution had led them to a disturbing conclusion. "The attacks are coming from dimensional pocket space," she announced, her words translated instantly into a dozen alien languages. "Someone, or something, is using the spaces between normal space to launch the plague, observing its effects and refining it." High Counselor Zextel's crystalline form vibrated with concern. Dimensional pocket space, but that technology was banned after the Void Wars, 10,000 cycles ago. Through the neural network, Sarah Wells shared a discovery that made everyone in the command center fall silent. The plague's code structure matched ancient warning markers found in human DNA, markers that suggested Earth had been visited during humanity's prehistoric past. "We weren't random test subjects," Sarah explained, her voice carrying the weight of the Hivemind's collective realization. "Our ancestors were engineered to survive something like this. The question is, by whom? And why?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Rodriguez had been working with a team of xenorchaeologists, comparing the plague's structure to ancient data archives. "It's not a weapon," he announced suddenly. "It's a test." The holographic display shifted, showing patterns that spanned millennia. The plague's evolution wasn't just targeting neural architectures, it was pushing them to evolve, to adapt, to become something more. Every few thousand cycles, Rodriguez continued, something emerges from dimensional pocket space and releases a variant of this plague. Species either adapt or fall, but humanity. He gestured to their neural implants, their hive mind capability. We were given a head start. Someone wanted us to be ready. The command center erupted in overlapping conversations, both verbal and digital. Through the neural network, humans processed the implications at lightning speed. They weren't just fighting a plague. They were participating in some ancient species' evolutionary program. "That's why human minds confuse it," Sarah added. "We're not just individuals, and we're not just a collective. We can be both. We can adapt not just biologically, but socially and technologically. We're what the test was designed to create." Ambassador Chen raised her hand for silence. "Whether we were engineered or evolved this way doesn't matter. What matters is that we can help others survive this test. The plague isn't just tracking biological adaptation. It's measuring consciousness itself. The ability to change, to grow, to work together." Through her neural link, Chen shared humanity's proposal. It was audacious, dangerous, and exactly the kind of solution that made humans both fascinating and terrifying to their alien allies. "We're going to share our neural interface technology," she announced, "not to create more hive minds, but to help each species develop their own unique form of collective problem-solving. Unity through diversity, not uniformity." The alien representatives reacted with a mixture of shock and interest. The idea of sharing such technology violated countless protocols, but they had seen how effectively humans could maintain their individuality while working in concert. "The plague adapts to attack specific neural patterns," Sarah explained. "But if we can help each species develop their own unique way of linking minds and sharing information, we create too many patterns for it to target. We don't beat the test by becoming uniform. We beat it by becoming more diverse." High Counselor Zextel's crystalline form pulsed with decision. "The Council approves. But can your neural interface technology be adapted to such different forms of consciousness?" The humans in the room smiled collectively. Through the neural network, they shared the results of research they'd been conducting quietly for months. They had already developed prototype interfaces for dozens of species, each designed to work with rather than change their natural thought patterns. "We understand the risk you're taking in trusting us with your consciousness," Ambassador Chen said softly. "Humanity hasn't forgotten what it feels like to be experimented on without consent. That's why each species will develop their own interface systems, at their own pace. We'll provide the basic technology and support, but how you use it, that's for you to decide." As if in response to their decision, sensors detected new plague outbreaks emerging from dimensional pocket space. But this time, they were ready. As the first cases were reported, human neural networks linked with newly developed alien interfaces, creating a vast web of cooperative consciousness while maintaining the unique characteristics of each species. They would face this test together, each in their own way. And through their unity and diversity, they would show whatever ancient intelligence had engineered this test, that consciousness could evolve without losing what made each species unique. The real test, they were beginning to understand, wasn't about survival. It was about finding a way to grow stronger without sacrificing what made them who they were. The dimensional anomaly bloomed like a dark flower in the void of space, its edges rippling with energies that defied conventional physics. The combined fleet of Earth and Galactic Council ships held position, their crews linked not just by technology, but by the new hybrid consciousness they had developed together. Through the neural network, Sarah Wells felt the presence of countless minds, human and alien alike, each maintaining their unique identity while working in perfect concert. They had evolved exactly as the test had intended, but not in the way its creators had expected. Contact, Ambassador Chen announced, her voice echoing across neural and conventional communications simultaneously. Something's emerging from the anomaly. The entity that appeared defied easy description. It existed as much in information space as in physical reality, its form shifting between patterns of pure energy and crystalline structures that seemed to fold through dimensions. "We are the architects," it communicated, not in words, but in pure concepts that bloomed directly in their minds. "We seeded this galaxy with tests of consciousness, hoping to find those who could transcend their limitations without losing their essence." Through the neural network, humanity shared their understanding instantly with their allies. The architects weren't hostile. They were gardeners of consciousness itself, nurturing the evolution of thought across the galaxy. "You've exceeded our expectations," the entity continued. "We designed humans to be catalysts, to help other species bridge the gap between individual and collective consciousness. But you've done more than that. You've found a way to promote unity while preserving diversity." High Counselor Zextal stepped forward, his crystalline form resonating with the hybrid network they'd created. "The plague, it was never meant to destroy us. It was meant to push you to adapt," the architect confirmed, "to force cooperation without demanding uniformity. Previous cycles ended in either extinction or homogenization. You are the first to find another way." Through the neural network, Dr. Rodriguez shared a realization that rippled through the collected consciousness of the fleet. The architects weren't just testing them. They were looking for successors, for species that could continue their work of nurturing consciousness throughout the galaxy. Ambassador Chen, her neural implants glowing with the combined knowledge of humanity and their allies, addressed the ancient being. "We accept the responsibility," she said, "but we'll do it our way. No more plagues. No more tests without consent. We'll help consciousness evolve through cooperation and choice." The architect's form shifted, expressing what they recognized as approval. "That," it communicated, "is exactly why you're ready. The true test was never about surviving the plague. It was about how you chose to fight it." Sarah felt the truth of those words resonate through the neural network. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had insisted on helping others survive too. They had taken technology that could have been used to dominate and turned it into a tool for cooperation. They had proven that strength didn't have to come at the cost of compassion. "The dimensional gateways are yours now," the architect announced. "Use them wisely. There are more species out there, more forms of consciousness waiting to join your community. Guide them as we guided you, not through force, but through opportunity." As the ancient being prepared to depart, it shared one final insight. "Your greatest strength," it told them, "was never your immunity or your technology. It was your stubborn insistence that survival alone wasn't enough, that how you survived mattered just as much as whether you survived." The architect's form began to fade, but its presence in their linked consciousness remained for a moment longer. "We created humans to be catalysts," it said, "but you chose to be companions instead. That choice has transformed this galaxy in ways we never imagined possible." As the dimensional anomaly closed, Sarah felt a new sense of purpose flood through the neural network. They had not just survived an ancient test, they had changed its very nature. And in doing so, they had proven that humanity's real strength lay not in their ability to resist threats, but in their capacity to transform them into opportunities for growth. Ambassador Chen opened a channel to all ships, her words carried on both conventional and neural frequencies. "The real work," she announced, "begins now. We have a galaxy of consciousness to nurture, and this time, we do it together." Through the hybrid network that connected them all, humans and aliens alike shared a moment of perfect understanding. They had faced extinction and emerged not just stronger, but wiser. They had proven that the true measure of advancement wasn't technological power or even survival. It was the ability to grow without losing what made each of them unique. The fleet began its journey home, But they all knew that this was really just the beginning. Somewhere out there, other species were waiting to join their community of consciousness. And this time, first contact would begin not with fear or force, but with an open hand and an invitation to grow together.